What? It's my third. No, it's fine. They say all the best speeches are made on a full bladder. Hello and welcome to... Ooh. Oh, that's better. You're right. Hello and welcome to Tweed's Garage, where in this video I'll give you a little update on the Riley. Not a lot has gone on. We've sort of suffered with a, what's the word? Lack of enthusiasm, but it's building back up again. We're getting there, and I'm going to say it on video now so it's sort of there, and if I do put this out soon, I want to try and get it running before Christmas, okay? This Christmas, not next Christmas. So I've got to sort of pull my finger out and get on with it. There's a few little jobs been doing, little fiddly jobs, little things I keep finding, you know what I'm like, go in there and that. I'll take you around there, give you a little tour and show you things of what needs doing and what I've done. Yeah, and then what else has been keeping us busy? Well, there's a lot of little jobs, you know, those jobs you sort of think, oh, I want to get them finished, and they've been sitting there for years. So one of them was this little... made a little machinist jack. I think the piece of wood, the piece of steel that I used for the bottom was a spacer off of a lawnmower that I sort of scrapped and turned it down. It's a nice piece of steel, so I thought I'd make a little machinist jack out of it. So this was done ages ago, but I turned this down and milled it in stainless steel with a little V groove on it to lay round stock in, and then a little brass nut just to sort of nip it down into a lock position. Yeah, so that was one little job to do. A bigger job was on the lathe on the carriage lever, the carriage drive lever. It was getting worse and worse and really starting to annoy me. You'd engage it and you'd move your hand away and it would drop out, so that it would take about 3 goes before it kicked in and it'd stay locked in and you could carry on turning. But as you can imagine, when you're doing a lot of turning, that was getting very annoying. So I didn't video it. I've got a little bit of video of it. So this is the part, this is the apron that I needed to remove with its gearbox inside it. And this was the lever that was the problem. You see, it clicks in really positively now, really nicely. Whereas before you'd put it up and move your hand away and it just dropped straight back down again. So the way you take this out is you undo these 2 Allen bolts here, take out the shear pins here and undo this Allen key here, so this on-off lever arrangement drops off the end, and then it was a case of sliding these out this way, undoing the 4 Allen bolts there, and then gradually drop that down and pop it down on the floor to work on it, and then give it a clean, and then made up a new shaft, popped it all back on, and jobs are good. Said before on one of the videos it was a job I wanted to do. I'd sort of just done an oil change on it, cleaned the bottom of it out and cleaned what I could get to out of it. But there was still a lot of rust and muck in there that needed cleaning out. So got that done, took it apart, found that the shaft, there's a little round shaft with a little flat machined in the end, and that engages with the lever as you move it over and locks it in. And as you can see, that was badly worn. And it sort of started to, it was rounding off, and it just wasn't engaging properly. So luckily in stock I had a piece of bar the same diameter, so popped that in the mill, machined that same flat on it, and drilled the holes. It needed a couple of holes for some pins to go in, and then popped it all back together. And as you can see, it sort of engages with a nice positive action now. So another job I've been meaning to get round to was make myself a decent die holder. So this is what I made out of stainless steel. You know, something that you could get your hands on and sort of it was actually man enough for the job. I've been looking around at auto jumbles and stuff like that to try and pick some up, but yeah, the ones I could find, they weren't very good, or they were like mine, they were Chinese copies and absolute rubbish. Yeah, the threads are terrible on the handles keep falling off, keep coming undone, and the screws, the grub screws, keep breaking off. You know, they're just absolute pants. So I made this one up out of stainless, had some stainless kicking around, bits and bobs. So I made a nice, decent sized body on it, milled the sides so I could get the handles would screw in nice and straight to it. And then the reason for making it nice, quite a big diameter with a nice flat back on it, is so that it can go on the lathe and then the tailstock will just rest up against the back of it and keep it nice and square, and that works really well. So it's a job worth doing. Another little job, I'll do it in another video, but I was working on my Stuart Turner number 8. That's been sitting on the bench for a long time, but I'll tell you about it in another video. So that took a couple of weeks fiddling around with that, and then finally we're getting back into the Riley just after the temperature of the workshop has dropped from sort of a balmy 40 degrees down to about -1 now. So it's gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. So yeah, so come along with me. We'll go next door and have a look and just show you what I've been up to. Okay, go on in. Hello, Gladstone. How have you been? Right, try and remind myself what work we need to do. Just ignore that. Front panel, front apron panel. Got to make a new one here. I've discussed that before, and I think I'm going with aluminium. So things I've got to do is somebody's using. Hello, get down. Line the cable. Oh, get down. Oh, God's sake. As I was saying, make a new apron, as the steel ones sort of seen better days. Would be straightforward, but I've got to make a little sort of lozenge shape indentation on each side to cover these, to clear these rivets, one each side there and there. I'll slip in a bit of video of what I'm talking about. I think I'm going to form it by a piece of MDF, lay the aluminium on top, secure it down, and then make a routed slot in the MDF so that I can beat the aluminium down through it to get this sort of shape that I need. I need to clear out, whoever had this before loved this body seal. So there's body seal here I need to peel out, so I'll get a clean run to the side of the chassis rails each side. See, they've filled it in there, it's horrible stuff, and it does hide a multitude of evils. Like I said before, it had it here, didn't notice this, but now it's rather lacy down here, and this, I think the body seal was holding it together. This is a job to do, but not this time. This'll be all right as long as I stop leaning on it. It will be fine. So jobs to do. Job's done. New HT leads on, looking lovely, and period sort of correct. HT caps, connectors, and little brass fittings, which are nice. So they're all soldered on. Yes, I will. These are a bit long, but I needed to get them all in and get them set so I knew where they all went. And once I get to putting the radiator on, which will be soon, I'll shorten these down one at a time. Other jobs to do, just going around checking security of stuff, like I think these need to be tightened, that needs to be tightened. Got to go underneath around the gearbox and check things that are all, whether they're tight or not. I made a new, I think on a previous video you saw me make new ball ends for the throttle linkage up here, but I made a new one for the cross shaft from the throttle pedal to here. Now this has got a bend on it. I don't think it should have. I wasn't too keen on straightening it just in case I broke it, but I might heat it up and try and anneal it a bit and then sort of see if it'll move with a bit of gentle persuasion. Nothing too drastic though. If it's not going to go, I'll leave it as it is, but it would be nice to there's no reason for it to be bent like that. It, you know, bring it in line to give it a straight run, be fine. Carburetor's on, waiting to be connected up. Other jobs to do. You saw me deal with this gasket and this gap. I've now got a blanking plate in there. Need a decent bolt to go in the end, join it all together. Then the exhaust can go on. Just got to clean the ground up on the chassis where I've painted it down here for the starter. It does work, it does ground okay, but better to be safe than sorry. Engine turns over, I'll come in occasionally, give it a little turn over occasionally. There we go. Oh. Yeah, so just to keep the oil circulating round. I've done a job, we'll go inside in a minute. But I think that's here. Just to get the carburetor connected up, fuel line connected up, links back on, all adjusted. There's something I'm not quite happy about on this cam down here. It rubs. Well, yeah, this arm here catches on this plate the way it is. I need to sort of move it, drop it away a bit. It's not desperate, but it has been rubbing for a long time. You can see where the wear pattern is on the cam lobe on the bottom. This is for the your steering column control for the hand throttle. So this cam spins around and moves this arm. But as you can see, that it catches. Yeah, it's not brilliant. It catches in there. Could I tweak this? I could maybe tweak this. But again, yeah, not too happy about it. Judging by the rub marks, it's been like that for a long time. But a bit of judicious, I think bending might sort it. Yeah, but this plate doesn't bolt square. You can adjust it with a lower bolt down there. Nut down there, and this sort of moves around a bit. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe turn a spacer up to go underneath here just to give a bit more clearance. So after a bit of work on the lathe, we've got a washer installed, which has moved this out a bit. The shaft just comes to the end of this plate now, and then I turned up another little spacer down here for the spring to tension up against, rather than twisting this plate at an extreme angle. So that all works okay now. So with the spacer in, you can now see that the finger for the throttle adjustment now sits in the middle of the cam lobe, and then when it's at full travel, it's not hitting this plate. So I'm quite pleased with that. And then other jobs to do, yeah, wire the horn in properly, get this loom back up onto the chassis, bolted out of the way here and down here. I've strapped that, all needs to go back on. Let's go inside. Okay, inside, underneath, I should bring a torch. Yeah, let me bring a torch. So I just want to check all the fuse wires in the fuse box. Some of them looked a bit shabby, so I managed to get hold of some fuse wire, and I'll rewind those, and then the cover can go back on. Cover there. So that can go back on. Is that then? Yeah, seems to be. Seems to be lacking a few, like. These fuse boxes are really designed to be screwed to a wooden bulkhead from this side with wood screws with a countersinking. But yeah, these were bolted originally with screws coming from the other way and just had washers and nuts. So that's why I turned up the new nuts with a countersinking. and they're all nice and solid now. I had to drill another hole through the bulkhead because this screw was in the wrong place, and somebody just sort of bunged a wood screw in the hole to make it look like it was screwed in properly. So, there we go, all back on. And these are the screws here. Original screw there, didn't go through the fuse box unless it's had a fuse box change at some time. That's the new screw there, which are turned up. A nice thing that happened, I spent ages turning up a new cork washer for the fuel tap because it was leaking, it wasn't turning off. And you can buy them, and of course that would be the easy thing to do, but no, I decided to buy a packet of corks off eBay or Amazon or something and turn my own up. The corks weren't great quality, they had lots of holes in, so I had to cut through quite a lot to find a decent bit of cork. And I had about 3 or 4 attempts, and then gave up in the end. But it looks like it's sort of where it's been sitting here with a bit of fuel that's drained down in the tank. So it looks like it's now working. So that's good news. Right, now everything stinks of fuel. The next thing to do, and this is really frustrating. I don't know if I discussed this before, but made new floorboards, these ones, these and these, and a new set of plates to go round the pedal and column assembly. And before I took the car apart, I did fit a new gearbox mounting because that had collapsed. Then found, because you lifted the gearbox up, you had to redo the slot around the column and everything because it was all catching. And then I've taken the engine apart and I'll put the engine back in with new engine mounts and the new gearbox mount, and everything is unseized that was seized before, like the axle on the rear spring hangers, and everything is higher. So again, this, you can just see this, that little silicon pads that I made on here, that's just catching there. You can see the other one just there. I've already machined a bit out for the brake pedal there, but again, I think, yeah, it's just catching, so it needs a bit more out. But also it means these plates have to be, these have to be taken out a little bit again, so they go round. It's just one of those jobs, you've done it a couple of times and you've got to do it another time and you just keep putting it off. So that's got to be done. What else? Clutch, got to adjust the clutch up. But until those plates are in and I've got my sort of stop position for the throttle held in, I'm not 100% sure where it's going to go. It's nearly there, but you have to sort of push it. I think, let's have a go. About there, but it's nearly hitting the floor, so that needs to come up a bit. And it's, on these clutches, it's only a tiny amount of movement between off and on, so that needs to be done. Just got to go through, check all the nuts and bolts. Yeah, I know those gearbox ones don't come through far enough for my liking, but these are all new ones with the spring washers, and that's as long as they are. This one had to go round because the starter mounting was broken at some time, has been repaired, and it's easier to put it this way and a nut on that side than it is to try and get a bolt through that way past the repair. Yeah, new stainless steel washer turned up for here because I lost it in the pile of stuff, and I think I've got another washer to turn up further down. But once that's done, just got to go around, check all the split pins are in, and everything's all buttoned up. Clutch adjusted, floor can go back in. Yeah, so I think that's about it in here. Carb turned on, radiator finally repaired, and back on, and then we're nearly there, ready for attempting to start. So there you go, that's what we've been up to with the Riley. Not a lot, but a little bit, so we're getting there. And as I said, I'm going to try and get it running before the end of the year. I think I'm going to invest in some fuel for the heater, so I'll sort of double the value of the garage, and it'll just make it a little bit more inviting to go down there and do a bit of work to it. So until next time, I'll see you again, and if you like what you see, subscribe and give us a little like, and see you next time. Cheerio. Right, I'm off to get another cup of tea. And the, what's the other one called? The other one. Yo voy a cantar esta canción, yo voy a cantar esta canción. Round shaft with a little para mi gente con una pasión tan. If you like this video,